My back is messed up and I haven't really been able to trick since almost January. I'm now going to tell you all about what's wrong with my back, how it all happened, the whole story, and also how I've been dealing with it, because it hasn't really been that easy mentally. But first, we gotta clear up some very important things. 100 men against one gorilla. Who wins the fight? This has been all over the internet lately, and honestly, I can't even believe that it's such a big debate, because to me it's pretty obvious. But who knows? I'll share my point of view and then maybe you guys can argue with me in the comments. In my opinion, the gorilla loses and it's not even close. But we gotta set some ground rules first. It's gotta be 100 average men in their prime years against one average gorilla in its prime years, because otherwise obviously it's not a good comparison. If you compare 100 kids or 100 old dudes to a gorilla, it's a different story. And if you compare an old gorilla or like a, I don't know, baby gorilla, it's obviously also not the same story. And I've seen some people argue that the gorilla would just like rip apart 2 or 3 people and then the other people would freak out and run away. But you also have to take out the emotions as well, because obviously if 100 people charge a gorilla, that gorilla is also just gonna like run away. So you have to take out emotion, and it has to be 100 average men in their prime against one average gorilla in its prime. And in that case, 100 men are easily taking down one gorilla. And I'll explain why. You know those little animals called chickens? A chicken is super lightweight and it's super weak. If a chicken tried to fight me, I would always win. It would be a very, very unfair fight. And I think it would be an even more unfair fight than if I had to fight against a gorilla. I would have a bigger chance against a gorilla than a chicken would have against me. Now obviously, the gorilla would rip me in half. The gorilla would tear me to shreds. But I would still have a little bit of a bigger chance against the gorilla than the chicken would have against me. Because the physical difference between a gorilla and me is smaller than between a chicken and me. At least I would hope so. But if 100 chickens all attacked me at once, from all different sides and angles, I would be fucked. I would like, there's no chance. Even if it was just 50 chickens, there's no chance. Like, you're cooked. So, if 100 people all attack a gorilla at once from all different sides, it would be like a straitjacket. Like, the gorilla wouldn't even be able to move. He would probably like bite a few people and maybe give out some elbows, but if everybody pushes in at once, there's no chance. Yes, I get it, like humans are weak compared to other animals, but 100 humans against one gorilla, there's no chance. Like, think of how many animals you could defeat if 100 of them attacked you at once. It's probably very little animals, because like numbers mean something. So yeah, gorilla wins. If you want to debate me, then fight me in the comments or fight me in real life. Unless you have fighting experience, then please don't. Yeah, let's move on to my fucked up back. All right, let's start talking about my back. I would actually start the story in August 2024, I would say. I was kind of on top of the world. I was like tricking pretty well, if I do say so myself. I just won like the Austrian championship, even though there is no official Austrian championship. But to sum it up, like, I was moving very well, I was feeling great, I was tan, I was out all the time, it was sunny, I was having the time of my life, and it was just great. And then fall came around and I was focusing more on the gym because I still had some big goals that I wanted to hit. And I guess I decided it was time for a bulk. And that was actually a good decision because I focused on the gym for a few months and I got way stronger. And I actually managed to bench 3 plates. I even managed to bench a little bit more. I benched 145 kilos, which is 320 pounds. And I'm still very proud of that. That's pretty strong. So during that time, I wasn't really progressing much in my tricking. I was able to maintain it with a few sessions a week and not tricking as hard. But obviously, you can't really push both the gym and tricking hard at the same time because your body just needs energy to recover. And if you try to push both at 100% at the same time, you're just gonna injure yourself. So I like rolled back the tricking a little bit, focused more on the gym. It was a great time. I hit my gym goals, and the thought behind it was actually, I'm gonna hit my gym goals and then I'm free. I've hit the big goals that I had in the gym, and then I can be okay with losing a little bit of muscle and a little bit of strength, and I can focus back on tricking. That was actually working pretty well. Like, I hit my free plate bench, and then I started tricking again. At the end of December, I was tricking a lot. I was at Hooked, and then I was having tons of sessions, and I was actually progressing a lot. Like, my tricking was probably at its best at that time, even though I was still pretty heavy from the bulk. But I was doing like double full to cork to splits. I had easy, consistent dub-dubs on command. I was doing like 202 and shit. It was just like a great time. And then my back like slowly started to hurt. And I was like, maybe that's from the office work that I've been doing, because I had been sitting a bit more at that time and I had been training hard as well. So I was like, it's probably nothing major. I'll just keep training, which is, I guess, the typical athlete response. So I kept training, and I trained a little bit less, but that was okay because I was working a lot at the time, and I had also said yes to being in like a dance show, which was a weird and funny side quest. And yeah, it was okay at the time, but then I wanted to return back to tricking, and my back was hurting so much that I was like, maybe I shouldn't just like ignore this. If I want to keep tricking, I probably need to talk to somebody about this. So then I contacted a physiotherapist, actually a great physiotherapist. And like a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter for the story, I actually had an appointment scheduled. And I talked to him, I told him all the symptoms I had. He did some tests. And he was like, yeah, it's most likely some injury of my lower back muscle right here, like on the left. I'm far away from the camera. This is stupid. Why am I showing you right here? It's an injury of a back muscle on my lower back. And he said that this kind of injury heals very quickly, but just because it's healed, that doesn't mean that you can put a lot of stress on it again instantly. So the theory was like, there's an injury in my lower back muscles, and every time it heals, I fuck it up again by tricking. So he told me to do some exercises to put stress on it in a controlled manner and slowly overload the stress, which all makes sense. And I do trust him fully. Like, he's a great physiotherapist, and I don't think that he did anything wrong. But yeah, you'll see later in the story that maybe that wasn't like the smartest choice, but it was mostly my fault. So I stopped tricking completely in like the middle of March, and I started doing these exercises, and it was actually getting better. Like, I was feeling better, but then like a few weeks afterwards, I was at a birthday party of my friend Ollie, and we started playing soccer. And just whilst doing some light jogging, I was feeling my back. And I was like, oh, maybe it's not really getting that much better. Like, I was feeling it with the same intensity that I had felt it before. So I was like, okay, I stopped tricking. I'm doing all these exercises. I've been doing this for weeks. And now it kind of feels the same. It felt a little bit better in like everyday situations. But in that moment, I was like, whew, I don't know. Maybe I'm on the wrong path. But I was like, you know, injuries take time to recover from. Maybe it just takes more time, and we'll see. Then a week later, I drove to Germany because I have family up there, and it's like a 10-hour drive there. Then I was driving around there all the time, and then also a 10-hour drive back. And I went there with my family, but still, I was driving for a big chunk of this time. And even if you're not driving, you're still sitting in the car, and that's not really the best for, you know, feeling your best, and for back pain especially. So when we were driving back, I got out of the car at a gas station, and my back felt the worst it had felt until that point. And I was just thinking like, fuck, I'm not sure if I'm on the right path here. I'm not sure if this is actually the thing I should be doing to heal my back, but we'll see. So when I got back from Germany, I asked on my Instagram story, does anybody know a massage therapist who might be available on short notice? Because I would be flying to Holy Land Gathering like a day later, and I desperately felt like I needed a massage. Some people got back to me, and I actually managed to get an appointment with like a physiotherapist massage guy. And I had a weird feeling, to be honest. Like, I didn't have the best feeling about it, especially because the day after my back was actually feeling much better, and it was feeling kind of like it was feeling before I went to Germany. Not great, but at least it wasn't feeling like horrible. And since I had this weird feeling, I was like, oh, I hope it doesn't make it worse. So I went to the massage therapist, and he tried a bunch of different techniques, and in the end he was like cracking my back with all these different techniques. And I kind of wanted to say like, I don't want to do it, but I didn't, because I don't know why. And after I got up from there, I drove home, and I was feeling worse. I was like, oh fuck. I was feeling like way worse again after the massage. Then I flew to Holy Land Gathering. I spent almost a week there, no, a few days there, and I had a lot of fun talking to people, but it kind of sucked because I wasn't able to trick. It was just like very depressing at some points, like just watching other people trick and not being able to move. And I felt like a bird with broken wings, you know? It's like such a big part of who I am as a person. Like, who am I without tricking? Of course I'm somebody, but it's such a big part of me that without movement, it just kind of feels like something is missing. So yeah, it just kind of sucked. And then I got back, and I was in the sauna with a friend of mine, and we were talking about the back issue as well. And I was like, you know, I would give every single cent in my bank account to just get rid of my back issues. And that's true, by the way. And he was like, you know, you kind of could. And he told me about how he was struggling with his knee issue, and he had been struggling with it for a few years, and he went to like 4 different doctors and nobody could really help him. And then he went to some super specialist doctor in Germany. He drove for 4.5 hours to get there, and he actually found something that helped him. And now he's doing therapy with this doctor, and it seems to be going pretty well. So I was like, I'm getting an MRI because I trust my physiotherapist. He's a great physiotherapist, but at the end of the day, I just came to him with my symptoms. I just described what my pain was like, and then he put up a theory. And at the end of the day, it's just a theory, you know? And it's also based on my subjective feeling of what my symptoms are like. And I just went to him straight away and didn't get imaging because I was stupid. It's my fault, you know? So I decided I will go to a doctor. And one thing about doctors in Austria is if you want to get an appointment anytime soon, you kind of have to pay for it privately, because you do have public health insurance. Like, I have insurance from the place that I work at, and I have insurance from owning my own company. But if you want to get an appointment soon, and if you want to get great doctors, you kind of have to pay for it with your own money in most cases. But I said, if that's what it takes, then I will spend every dime I have on getting my back fixed. So I went to this doctor, and he was like, oh yeah, we can get you an MRI like in 1.5 weeks. And I was like, can we get it a little bit faster? And they were like, maybe, we'll call you. And then they called me like 4 hours later, and they were like, all right, we got you an MRI on Friday, and we will talk to you right after the MRI to talk about the results. And that's what I did. That same week, I had an MRI on Friday, went to the doctor right after, and the doctor said, oh, it looks great. You can't see anything wrong with you, like structurally. Like, your lower back is completely fine according to this MRI. Like, there is nothing wrong with your spine. You can't see any damage to the musculature. You should be totally fine. So maybe you just like pulled a muscle, or there's some like tension or nerve issue. You're completely fine. Just do some Pilates. I was like, All right, what the fuck? That's 250 bucks, by the way, right there. The MRI is paid by the state, but just for those like 10 minutes of him telling me, oh, go to the MRI, and then him telling me, oh, you're fine, that's 250 bucks. But anyway, I had like mixed feelings about this. Because on one hand, I was like, I'm not sure that's actually it. On the other hand, I'm like, you know what? The MRI confirmed it. There is nothing wrong with my spine. There is no big injury to my musculature. So I must be on the right path and it must be some muscle issue. But in my heart, I was like, I don't know, like, it can't just be like that something is tense in my lower back since January. But I was like, you know what? The MRI confirmed it. And then I texted my physiotherapist and I was like, the MRI said there is nothing wrong with my spine or the musculature around it. Could I start tricking again very slowly if my pain is low or not existent? And he said, if you're feeling the way you felt at the last appointment, where I was actually feeling pretty good, then yeah, you can slowly start, but just be careful and don't trick if it hurts, which is great advice. Like I said, he's a great physiotherapist. So I did that. I started tricking. I tried a few back handsprings and backflips, but I stopped it very shortly after because obviously after waiting this long, I didn't want to risk making it worse again. I didn't want to risk like stressing it too much. So I stopped after probably like, I don't know, 10 back handsprings and backflips, maybe 20. And I didn't really feel any pain. Like I felt light sensation, but there was nothing I would actually describe as pain. And that was great, you know, great news. And that was on Sunday. And then Monday, I get a text on my phone from the clinic that did my MRI. And it's the MRI results, because when I was there, I had to fill out a form. And on that form, I could check a box to get my MRI results on my phone as well. So they had just sent me this message saying, hey, your MRI results are here for you to look at as well, if you want to look at them separately, not just your doctor. And then a little bit later, I was like, okay, this might be interesting. I open it, and in the PDF, it literally shows like the written results, like what the clinic thinks is going on, what they can see. And it is telling me that there is edema in my spine. I went to the private fucking doctor, 250 bucks for 20 minutes of his time. He said everything was fine. And he didn't contact me after because the MRI clinic found something else. Nothing. I haven't heard from him since. For him, this is a closed case. But clearly, the MRI clinic found something wrong with my spine. And the funny or not so funny thing is, I had that exact same issue a few years ago, I think 2019. I also had edema in my lower back. If you don't know, it's Knochenmarksödem in German. It's like fluid buildup in your bones due to stress, like not mental stress, but actual physical stress on the body. It was probably due to overtraining because, like I said, in January, I was training a shit ton. And actually, I was training a stupid shit ton. I was training way too much. Looking back, it was very stupid, but I did what I did. And yeah, we'll see. And I actually told the doctor that I had edema in my lower spine a few years ago. I took the MRI results with me the first time I went to that doctor, showed them to him, and he was like, yeah, barely. Like, he fucking dismissed my edema, basically. If you look at the whole picture now, fuck this doctor. It is the way it is. Whatever happened, happened. And I talked to my physiotherapist. I told him, shit, we have bad news. There actually is edema in my lower back. And he said he would get back to me to tell me what to do next. But since the pain has gone down significantly, and I don't have any back pain in day-to-day scenarios, and I didn't have any back pain when I was tricking, maybe it's actually at a point where it makes sense to do some exercises now. But yeah, if you look at the whole picture, I probably could have been done with this whole issue way, way sooner if I had just instantly gone to the doctor. But you're always smarter in hindsight, you know? and it happened, it sucks. But one thing that I am very grateful for is that now at least I know what's going on, you know? Now I actually know what the issue seems to be, and now I can make a plan for how to beat it. And I'm glad that this happened in spring and not in summer, because that would have sucked even more. And now I'm just hoping that I can get back to high-level tricking by, like, I don't know, maybe the end of June. That would be amazing, but we'll see. This whole thing just fucking sucked, and it still sucks. There is no other way to say it. But I'm actually doing surprisingly great, because thankfully there are other joys to life. And even though it does still feel like a big part of me is missing, you know, and it really sucks to not trick, and I'm wishing, I'm hoping that I can soon trick again, it's gonna be fine. You know, everything's fine. That's just life, you know? Shit happens, you have to deal with it, and I could be way worse off. Like, you gotta be grateful for what you have, and life is still great, and you can always find something that brings joy. Hopefully. If you can't, then I'm very sorry for you. So now you know the whole story of why my back is fucked up, or maybe you actually don't know the whole story because I missed something, or maybe you missed something because I was talking too much and you lost track, or you just skipped ahead because I was talking too much, because that's what I tend to do. But yeah, thank you for listening, if you were listening. And yeah, I guess I will see you soon. Debate me in the comments who wins, 1 gorilla or 100 men. I still think it's 100 men, and I don't think anybody can convince me otherwise. But if you think you can, try. Woohoo! That's the video. Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away. But girl, tonight you look so pretty as you do. I hope this fucking thing doesn't break. Lady, running down to the riptide, taking away to the dark side. I wanna be your left-hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, and I got a lump in my throat 'cause you're gonna sing the words wrong.